Hello again, everybody. My name is John D. Healy. I do a podcast. It's called It's Good to Talk. I got into podcasting a number of years ago during lockdown. I produced a book for my good friend Stoney McGurn. He was born in 1941. It's his life story all the way up to recently. He doesn't have much hair because hair is going to be a topic today. My sponsors are Liffey Van Lines, a moving company here in New York City, and they've been around a long time, and they are extremely professional, one of the top moving companies here in New York City. My guest today, I'll get to him in a minute. I also give a shout out to the Irish Examiner newspaper, irishexaminerusa.com. It's a great paper if you want to catch up on news and events. This week's paper has the big news about Colin Farrell, a big new movie coming out. Check it out. Let me get to my guest today. His name is Josh Vigdor. He's a professional barber.
Hello, everybody.
The business. So welcome, Josh. Tell me where you were born, how long you're doing your business. Over to you, okay.
So I was born in the United States. I was born in New York. I've been cutting hair for about 5 years now, and I started in the 12th grade of high school, actually, before I went to Israel. What's interesting about that is that I started doing it on yeshiva boys. I'm Jewish, and I went to yeshiva. So took advantage of the fact that it was very simple haircuts. Why I wanted to do it, needed some, I was good with my hands, still am. Needed some extra money. So I just picked up a pair of clippers that I just got off Facebook Marketplace. And just started giving simple buzz cuts, stuff like that. And eventually became into something more. I went to Israel for a gap year after school. And that's where I started giving more complex haircuts like fades and stuff like that until I came back. And eventually, I was doing it part-time when I came back from Israel, from the gap year. And I met my wife, who actually was a barber as well in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And after that, she started showing me some more tips and tricks and, how do I say it, just in general, trying to encourage me to go into it full-time. Because back, at that point, it was more of a part-time thing. And so on and so forth. I went to barber school, got my license, and started working at the shop in the Upper East Side.
Okay. All right. Just a quick question. I usually ask people like back before that, was your father or grandfather, were they in that business or no?
No.
No. Okay.
My in-laws were. My in-laws were. But me personally,
yeah. Okay. All right. Good. That's good to know. Now, I've traveled a lot all over the world, and one thing that's very, very common all over the world, I'm big into symbols because I'm a marketing guy. I'm into branding and symbols. The red and white pole that's outside every barber shop all over the world. Do you know the history of it or the significance of it?
Right, yes. So I do know that barbers about 100 years ago, something like that, or maybe about 80 years ago, were more than just barbers. I mean, what do we do at the end of the day? What we do now is similar to what we used to do back then, except back then it was just more manually, hands-on. What we do now is we cut hair, but also connect and sell the service and sell our skill set and the conversation and our personalities to the client and try to relate to them as much as possible, try to help them with whatever problem they have going in their lives. Back then, barbers were actually doctors. They would pull teeth. They would be like psychologists. They would heal people with injuries and so on and so forth, stuff like that. So why it's red, white, and blue is for for the fact that it's kind of, if you look at an ambulance, for example, it's going to be like blinking red lights, right? So it's kind of like the symbol of I guess you could say healing in a way.
Okay, I'll help you a little bit there. You have it all correct. The red symbolizes the blood. The white.
I was going to say the blood.
The blood. Yeah. So the red is for the blood. The white is for the bandage. So back in the day, you're 100% right. Back in the day, the barber shop was where if a guy was working on a building site and he cut his finger, he could go into the barber shop and get bandaged up.
Exactly.
They did more than that. They did another thing that was referred to as bloodletting. Bloodletting was where blood was drained out of the arms to release toxins from the blood. But we'll move away from that because that was then. But worldwide, the symbol is still there. You see that pole and you have one outside your shop, and we'll come to that in a minute. You did touch on other stuff there, which I'll jump into now before I move on to personalities. So when you mentioned about people going into the barber shop and using you as kind of a shrink, you're the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So let's say
psychologist.
Psychologist. Yes. Thanks for correction. So psychologist. So let's say Say a guy goes into you and he sits down in the chair, and Josh, you say to him, you say, Joe, how's your day going? And Joe says, not going too good. I think my wife is cheating on me. And you say, oh, that's not good. And then you might say, well, how do you know that? Well, I see her meeting this guy every evening at the front of the house down at the lane, and I know his name is John because it comes up on her phone, and he has a very good looking haircut. He could be a customer of yours, and she's very happy when she meets John, but I feel she's cheating. So he'll ask Josh any advice. So you're going to say, well, if she's happy with this John guy, at least she's happy. And if you can't make her happy and John makes her happy, and maybe you want to divorce her. Lots of people get divorced, okay? So you don't want to spill the beans and say, I know John. Do you want John's phone number? No, you're not going to go there. You're just going to make him happy enough. Now, like Liffey Moving Company, the number one moving company in New York City, you have a lot in common with the moving company. Number one, you're professional.
Okay.
Liffey is professional. Number two, you're very particular about your customers being happy. They leave feeling good. They leave with a smile on their face. You're very happy. You're very particular there.
I already know the second they get off my chair, they're all happy.
Yes.
I already know that.
Same as Liffey, when their customers are happy, they're happy. And they also say to you that they're happy to recommend you and refer you. Same as Liffey Moving Company. The other thing you have in common with Liffey is a very high standard of hygiene. When the trucks return every evening to Liffey, the cabs are cleaned and sanitized. There's no such thing as guys with eating chocolate and sticky fingers. That could have a double meaning, of course, on the cab or on the dashboard. So they're wiped down clean and left clean for the next door. I noticed that. I only met you once, by the way, in case my listeners think that we know each other for 100 years. But it's good to talk. And if people like this podcast, they can subscribe. So I noticed that about you insofar as your attention to detail is very, very, I noticed that right away. Because I'm a podcaster, I observe. So I have to see things as I see them. And if I see them right, I see them right. So I think I'm going to get Jimmy to sing a song before we move on to the next section of the podcast.
I don't know if you can see the changes that have come over me in these past few days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. I've been telling old stories, singing songs that make me think about where I came from, and that's the reason why I seem so far away today. Let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. And if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. I have moved and I've kept on moving, proved the points that I needed proving. I have lost the friends that I needed losing, found others on the way. I have tried and I've kept on trying, stolen dreams, yes, there's no denying. I've traveled far with my conscience flying, somewhere with the wind. But let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. And if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. I'm sitting here before the fire, the empty room, the forest squire. Oh, the flames that couldn't get any higher, they've withered now, they've gone. But I am steady, thinking my way is clear, and I know what I will do tomorrow. When the hands are shaken and the kisses flow, then I will disappear. But let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. And if I should become a stranger, You know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had.
So I'm back to you. I'm going to give you a variety of possible clients that would come into you, and they have different looks and different ways and different things that they might want. So I'm going to use nicknames for the sake of my listeners, but I will describe what they are, okay? So let's see who I got. Well, I have Sleepy John, okay? Not Sleepy Joe, Sleepy John. There is a Sleepy Joe, but Sleepy John. We'll talk about Sleepy John. I have Mr. Egghead, which means the head is shaped like an egg. And I've Mr. Blockhead, I've Mr. Big Ears, I've Mr. Vanity, okay, and I've Mr. Wispy, and I've Mr. Cosplay. So we'll start with Sleepy John. Has anybody like a Sleepy John ever sat in your chair and kind of start snoring and they fall asleep?
And
You would
dozing
go
off,
from
yeah, many
dozing off.
times. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, it's a known fact amongst barbers that if a client falls asleep in your chair, it means you're doing a great job. So it's supposed to be a therapeutic thing. At the end of the day, barbers are also therapists, and
Yes,
we also give a good service. And at the same time, it all depends on the barber and how they use their clippers or how they cut hair that
yeah.
determines the client's comfortability throughout the process.
Okay, that's a great answer.
So I'll tell you what, also another thing about the therapy that you were saying before, like let's say somebody comes in my chair and they start talking to me about life. I'll tape their mouth and be like, "Do you want to pay for the therapy?" Or I'm joking. That was a joke.
That's
Haircut or
really good.
haircut and therapy? Haircut and
I know,
therapy,
I know,
extra
I know.
$100.
I used to bartend, and people used to use the bartender as their therapist, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like you got 1 hour. You bought two drinks in 1 hour, and you got like $500 worth of therapy. Okay, so you answered Sleepy John very good, very good answer. Right? 10 out of 10. By the way, during lockdown, I had to cut my own hair with the clippers. Okay, and it
Oh
looked
wow.
terrible. It looked like Helen Keller cut my hair. So out of 10, I'd give Helen Keller 0
If
out
Helen
of
Keller
10.
cut hair.
Well, that's what I look like. I'll give you 10 out of 10. We'll move on to the next guy. So I'm going to move on to Mr. Egghead. Mr. Egghead is someone who has like maybe his face is maybe oval and his head is maybe pointed like an egg. Have you a
Okay.
different approach to cutting his hair?
Well, for those kinds of delinquents, what I would do is in general, usually those kinds of guys in general with the pointier, like oval face kind of shapes, I would recommend more of a regular haircut for those kind of guys because if you take it too short, then it's going to expose their pointy head.
Right.
Obviously, what I would also recommend is to keep the top longer. If
Okay.
I were to, for example, comb their hair back up and over to the
Okay.
side, it would
Okay.
maybe make their head look more symmetrical rather than keeping it oval shaped. I mean, and
Okay.
buzz cut or something like that, or
Okay.
short.
All right. That's a good answer too. Well, similar to him, I have an opposite guy. I have Mr. Blockhead. That's a guy like with like a high forehead, a
Yeah,
square head. It's like 10 inches this way, 10 inches. Like he has a square head. What can you do with him, if anything?
Mr. Squarehead. I would have to give him the Mike Tyson,
Okay. All right.
the
Okay.
Mike Tyson haircut. I would say more of a fade and a part
All right. Fair
because
enough.
the fade would make it would bring out the face shape a lot better rather
Okay.
than giving Mr. Blockhead a regular haircut because then it would just make his head look more wide if I were to keep it longer on the sides. Does that make sense?
Okay. All right. That makes sense. That's a good answer too. Okay. So I'll move on to Mr. Big Ears, like someone that has ears like satellite dishes,
Yeah.
like his ears are out,
That
like
makes my
like.
job easier.
Okay, but it makes it easier for you. But do you leave him when he walks out? He goes, "Oh my fuck, I didn't realize my ears are so fucking big." Or do you try
I
and leave it?
mean, no, not really. If anything, I don't have to move his ears around when I cut around his ears. It's just kind of
Okay,
there, already flared out. So all I got to do is just go around with the trimmers.
okay, oh, we got that one. Okay, the next guy I call him Mr. Vanity. He's a guy
Why?
that cannot, Mr. Vanity cannot pass a mirror. Now, I told you I worked for a moving company. I used to be a driver. And the only
Oh
time
wow.
I ever used a mirror was when I was reversing. You have to look in the rear view mirror, in the wing mirrors, to make sure you know what you're backing into. That's the only time I use a mirror. Now, Mr. Vanity cannot pass a mirror. He's also a guy that might bring in a picture of Tom Cruise to you and say, make me look like Tom Cruise. Do you ever have that guy?
Yes, all the time. There's a couple trending hairstyles Like, for example, like the Ronaldo haircut or Messi's haircut or some sort of singer rapper like Maluma, Peso Pluma. So, long story short, you get the picture. So, those guys usually come with pictures showing me
Okay.
like a celebrity in that kind of haircut. And I just execute the demand and make sure they leave happy. That's it.
Okay.
Give them the freshest fade, make
Mm.
sure it's on point. And
Mm.
hey, if they're showing me a picture, I'm going to do the same thing back and do a video,
Okay.
as in like a transformation video or something like that, like
So yeah.
Ronaldo Messi style haircut, and post it on my Instagram, which will get me more viewers and
Good.
better content.
Okay. So you don't want someone coming in and saying, "Make me look like Sean Diddy," or you give them a bottle of baby oil.
I'll pour a bottle of baby oil on their head.
Okay. Good. So then there's another type of, it's more a hair quality, like someone that has a very light, wispy hair on one side, on one guy, or another guy has hair that's like a wire brush, your scissors finds it hard to even cut it, like.
Yeah.
Do
So
you
what
have a
would I
different
do?
scissors for him?
Yes. So I would say more thick hair in general, which is, you have to go around a couple times. Obviously, you do have to cut it a little. You have to put more force when using the scissors because
Hmm.
you want to get more of an efficient cut and make sure that it's cut evenly, as well as adding texture. Because once you
Okay.
add texture to thicker hair, it'll make it more fine. Not only
Hmm.
lay better, but it'll give it more volume. You know what I mean? It
Okay.
would kind of give it more
Yeah.
flow, more of a style. You could do a lot more with it, style it better, either
Okay.
texture it, leave it messy, comb it over, whatever you want to do with it. And
Okay.
more fine, I guess, wispy hair. That's more like
Yeah, with the hair, yeah.
thin. So more
Very
like
thin, yeah.
thin kind of hair. Like if it's straight, what I would do is I usually just I cut it in a more standard way. Just cut it not using much texture because then you would make the guy look like he's balding. Because then
Yeah.
it would be too fine and too thin. And I would just try to use mostly clipper work on the sides.
Yeah.
Obviously, unless it's a scissor cut, then I would just do like a minimalistic kind of trim to try to keep it looking more full, and at the same time, you know, just more of like a gentleman's kind of look.
Okay, let's go move that guy. Let's hold on to him for a minute. And let's say he has very, very little hair, so
Okay.
he wants to keep what he has. Do you like charades, like where you pretend you're cutting and you're making noise with the scissors and you go around and then you say, "Oh, you look great, you look amazing."
I mean, well, at the end of the day, the customer's coming in for a service, so I can't really do that. I have to try to work with what I have. So if
Mm.
he's really holding on for dear life, he has like, I'm talking one strand of hair sticking out that he combs
Wow.
over, kind of looking like a goofy goober, doesn't matter whatever the point is. So I try to make the most out of it, like, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously I have to sell my product and the service,
yeah.
but I try to, I try to cut whatever I can, make it look nice, style it.
Okay.
Some people come with the
Good.
weirdest requests. I had a guy come to me one time tell me to shave off his eyebrows because he wanted to
Okay.
look, I don't know. But
I
but
was
yeah.
about to come to that.
Huh?
Yeah, about to come to that guy. I have something like that too. I think some of those guys, I think it's not up to date. I'm old fashioned. Like cosplay, like where some guy comes in wearing a military uniform and he wants a military style haircut. Now maybe he's not in the army or the navy. He's like a wannabe, like a wannabe singer singing into a hairbrush. So he's a
Right.
wannabe guy. But you got to go with this personality. You're shy to say thank you for your service because he's not in the service. But he wants the military. Let me go back to the Clippers. Number one is short, I guess, and number two is medium, and number three is. Am I right in saying those things?
Yeah. Number one is short. I would say more of like those kinds of guys in general, whether they're in the military or not, they want the military haircut is a skin fade, like 99% of the time. And it's usually a high skin fade.
Right.
So what I do with those guys is I don't really have to thank them for their services if they're not in the military. If they just
Okay.
tell me they want a military style, I just give them a high fade. A
Mm.
very nice clean high fade with a nice trim up top, depending whether it's long or short. I just make sure that it's very flat because most military hairstyles in general have a very kind of like a flat top, like even style. It's not like a comb over or anything. It's kind of like forward and like flat. So I do like that's what I do, like a high fade, flat top, and they're very
Okay.
happy.
Okay. And going back to historically again, like John F. Kennedy, the Kennedys in general, were known to part their hair the opposite way. I just show you, like, say,
Yeah,
like Kennedy would
the
part that,
opposite of where it.
whereas I just throw it anyway. I don't care how it looks. I don't fit into any one of your categories there because I'm not vain. Um, Let me see, who did we leave out? We left out, do you dye hair?
I do.
You do. Now, dyeing hair, that's a tricky one. Do people come in like with a color chart, like from the hardware store, and say, like, I mean, there's 40 shades of green, there's 50
Hmm.
shades of grey, and there's a lot of different black colors. So if you go give them like too much black, then it's obvious that that's not their natural color.
Right.
That's too. So do you put up like a color code thing and say you want it that way or you want it that way?
So in general, like with those kinds of people that dye their hair, what I do is that I have them come in or call me priorly so I could get a base understanding of how they want their how what color they want their hair. And I pull up like a couple Google images, give them a color chart. I go like a day prior, make sure to get all the material like
Mm.
and all the hair paint and everything, the hair color, the dye from the store. And it's more of like a scheduled, like a day in advance scheduled kind
Okay.
of thing. And those guys usually get like a fade in the design. So
Okay.
what I do is I go the day before, prepare, and deliver a nice fade with a design
Okay.
or whether it's just a simple fade and then start the dyeing process or the bleaching process or whatever they're trying to go for.
Okay. All right. We've touched on a lot of things there. Like, and then let's hold on to that guy for a minute. So he needs to go back pretty often. Like, my hair grows very fast. I don't dye my hair because if I did dye my hair, then you'd see the other color growing out in the bottom. My mom
Yeah.
might be a new friend, but I'm not too fussy about my hair. So in terms of colors, then, like you're kind of light ginger hair, I guess. Kinda. I know lots of redheads. And you're obviously a handsome devil, and I know I got half of that statement right. But redheads, are they
Appreciate that, man.
easier to deal with than? I know they have a bad temper, but are they easier to deal with in general?
Yeah, I mean, they're most redheads that I have taken care of in general are like regular, just like regular customers. Some of them
Okay,
tend to be a little funnier personalities,
I like
but
that.
other than that, yeah, they're pretty. They're
Okay.
not. I never got any fiery ones. They're just like angry.
That's good. So we've eliminated the myth that redheads are fiery. Okay, so Josh is my guest today. He's a barber here in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. I'll get your location and your address in a minute. And now the next thing people always ask, and this comes to Liffey Moving Company as well, who I've made comparison with you and Liffey, is price. Now, quality is always remembered long after the price. So I know that with Liffey. Liffey is not the cheapest moving company in New York City, but they're reasonable. You get what you pay for, but you remember the quality and you remember how happy the customer is, and the customer recommends and refers. So I wouldn't go the cheap way. I'd rather pay the little extra and have the quality. Would you
Yes,
agree with that? And how much is a haircut?
yes, 100%. There's obviously a big difference between a $25 haircut and a $50 haircut, $45
Okay,
haircut. So it's like, for example, you're going. I don't know. I'll put it in. Let's say you're going to the Toyota dealership. You
right.
want to pay to get a Prius or you want to pay to get a Supra.
Okay,
It's the same, same car company, but
right,
two different cars. One is a
right,
beautifully looking, performing sports car, and
right.
one is just a basic point A to point B kind of car with
Yep,
that barely makes it to 100, with
right,
struggling and shaking and all that.
right.
So it's like, you pay for what you get.
Yes, Josh, I couldn't have answered that better myself because that's what I explain to Liffey customers because I do follow up the customer, about a month after. I hope they're happy in their new home. I hope everything went well. The crew pays attention to just like yourself, professional. They pay attention to the detail of everything the customer needs to make sure they're happy. And you, of course, make your customers very happy. And as I said to my listeners, I've only met you once. I have people on here that I never met before because they're in Ireland. I had Rosa Tralee on here, and she
Right.
has a fine head of hair too, but she should. She won a beauty contest. But I would hope so. So where's your store located? I know where you are myself, but for the purpose of my listeners.
So we are currently located in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Best way to reach me is my phone number, 929-343-7220. Again, that's 929-343-7220. And we're located on 74th Street between York and First. However, we're moving a block away, like
Okay.
within the next like month, 2 months, to
Okay.
73rd Street and First Avenue.
Okay.
But
Well, don't forget to call Liffey for.
yes, but the point is, if you guys are in touch with me, you guys have my numbers. You know, I'm in the
Yeah.
area. Worst case scenario, a block away from where I currently
Oh
am.
yeah.
So
It doesn't matter. We move people one block. We move people across the country, and we ship people from New York City all the way to London, all the way to Dublin, all the way to Shannon, all over the
nice,
world, and indeed all over Europe. And we have
nice.
different compartments that deal with different things, and each customer is a customer, and they get the same professional care.
I can only
So, Josh,
imagine.
I'm going to leave the last word with you, and I will be contacting you soon for
A trim,
a trim.
much
Yeah,
needed. I was gonna say, John, it grew out.
my hair goes fast. Yeah, yeah. So, and I'm the type of guy. I'm another customer, I guess, that I didn't put myself in a category that I usually leave it to the professional. You are the professional, so I
You
tell
are
you,
Mr. Canvas. You give the
yes,
barber a blank canvas, and the barber does what he wants.
that's exactly it. I meant to bring that up earlier on because I deal with artwork as well. Incidentally, I have a load of art to donate to give away to a charity if any of the charities are listening to me. But
That is
yes,
great.
you are an artist insofar as that you get the canvas, but you get a canvas with some stuff on it. So you're the type of artist. I had like Fall Rivers on here. He's an artist and a singer, and he was explaining a lot about scraping. Like that means where they put a lot of stuff on and then they scrape it
Right.
off. So
I hear
you're
that.
the artist that has to take stuff off to make me look
To make you
like
have a smile.
I'm smiling anyway. Josh, a pleasure having you. Have you anything else to add to the episode?
That would be pretty much it. It was great speaking with you. Good talking with you.
Good
And
stuff.
yeah, make your appointments, guys.
Make appointments. And I noticed that you do that too. You give your number to people and you tell them to text ahead, save them hanging around and waiting. That's very important. So that's
100%. Communication's key.
communication is key. It's good to talk. Words
It's
are
good to
important.
talk.
Words are important. So I'm going to sign out in my first language, which is the Gaelic language, Irish language. My second language is English, which the Queen of England taught me. So now I speak better English than the Queen of England. That would be easy because she's dead. So Irish is my first language, English. So in Gaelic, I say Shin Scale, that means that's a story. Beis Scale Ella means there will be other stories. And now I say Slán, which means goodbye. So you can wave and say Slán. Slán, good talking to you, Josh. Okay,
Good talking to you, John. Till next
talk
time.
soon. I'll be in touch.